Great. So we're streaming live. So good afternoon. For those in Jamaica, I think it's still good morning, right? So welcome to another weekly episode of Youth Business Caribbean's, what we call our webinar series to offer a bit of positivity and some guidance around COVID-19, different strategies that entrepreneurs have been using, and different techniques that businesses are interested in. I'm Shadron Collins. I'll be your YBC representative as part of the conversation. Right? So YBC, it stands for Youth Business Caribbean. And really we're a network of Caribbean like-minded organizations focused on supporting young entrepreneurs. So you would see us in Anguilla, you would see us in Dominica, Jamaica, Barbados, St. Lucia, as well as Trinidad and Tobago. And that's really what the network is about. Hoping I didn't forget anybody in there, but they'll message me as soon as as soon as they know. So we're also live on Facebook. We're going to post the link to the Zoom chat on the Facebook account as well. So those who are seeing us on Facebook, feel free to jump onto the Zoom chat, because what we really want to do is do our webinar a bit differently, right? So we're calling this one community the entrepreneur experience. And from my accent, you could hear I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, hopefully, right? We have representatives from Jamaica, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Anguilla making up the panel right now. But we really want to extend the community to our attendees as well. So it's not just going to be a conversation between the panelists. We really want to hear their experience, their challenges, their past successes as well, going through probably similar challenges, and their past struggles. How did they come through those challenges as well? But we really want to hear from the attendees, and we really want you to have interjection, your comments, your feedback, your suggestions, right? And really get that community feel, because the community is not just the entrepreneurs here. So immediately, first thing I want to do is Jonathan is going to be our tech guy from working in the background on that end. He's going to put up a poll, and I really want to hear who's in the audience there. So you're going to see a poll, and you're going to have a couple of options. So you should be seeing a poll on your screen right now. Those still on Facebook, feel free to either jump across to our Zoom account. The link should be there, or you can just comment on Facebook. So who's in the community, right? We want to find out, are you an entrepreneur? Are you a mentor? Are you representing a support organization? Or are you just the general public, which really encompasses the buyers and sellers within the market of in the Youth Business Caribbean as well. So you can be multiple persons. You can be an entrepreneur and a mentor. You can be an entrepreneur and a general public. So what are you? How do you feel comfortable? All right. So you're going to just wait for persons to complete those polls. All right. Jonathan, as soon as you have a good bit of persons completing the poll, feel free to just show us the results. Right, so quick results. We do have 70% of the persons that are on the call being entrepreneurs. A bit of 10% of them indicating that they're mentors as well. The support organizations as well as the general public, all listed here. So it's good to see that a lot of us are entrepreneurs, and we really want to kind of create that community of entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs, and that's really what it is. I don't know if this saying translates to the rest of the Caribbean, and I'm sure it does, but it takes a community, right? And it's similar to raise a child, but it takes a community to build a business, right? And that's really what we really want to create there. That a community of support of persons supporting other entrepreneurs, supporting other entrepreneurs, the support organizations supporting the entrepreneurs, the mentors supporting the entrepreneurs, and all of us really just helping that baby of that business develop and bloom from there. So that's been me. I've been talking a lot, letting the likes build up, the live attendees build up. So I really want to pass you on to our moderator from Jamaica, right? I asked her if she listened to the BD Man and Bounty Clash, and I'm sure most of our Caribbean countries listen to it, putting a spotlight on the culture of Jamaica from there. So I'll pass you on to Roberta, and I'll allow each panelist to kind of introduce themselves as well. So I'll be back at the ending to kind of wrap up what we've been hearing, and enjoy. And just remember, in order to be part of the conversation, you can either raise your hand as an attendee, or you can message in the chat description, and Jonathan will give you the mic, give you control of your mic, so you can actually be part of the communication. So with that, see you later.
Great. Thank you so very much, Cedron. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to this webinar. Let me first congratulate the Youth Business Caribbean for putting the series together. These are very frightening times, but to be honest, they can be very exciting times as well for entrepreneurs. And so we are looking forward to having a very wonderful discussion where our entrepreneurs will leave feeling very inspired, very motivated to go out there and just to take it on. I'm Roberta Ellis. I'm the Caribbean representative for CUSO International. CUSO is a Canadian organization. We work with local NGOs, civil society groups, and government organizations across the Caribbean. And from talking with entrepreneurs, I'm really realizing that entrepreneurs in this pandemic are really struggling to restructure their businesses. The business plans and strategies that were in place probably even 4 to 5 months ago, people are finding that they need to pivot, things need to change, and it's being able to, redo those strategies and reorganize themselves while there is still so much uncertainty, because we're putting plans in place, but we're not quite sure what the next 3 to 4 months will look like for businesses. So, entrepreneurs are planning, but there's still some amount of uncertainty there. We want to hear from our panelists, some very fabulous people doing exciting things in Dominica, St. Lucia, and Anguilla. So let me first ask Tridel to, comment, introduce yourself, tell us what your business is about. We know you're making waves in the communication industry in Dominica, and tell us from your experience on the ground, what are the challenges entrepreneurs are experiencing now?
Okay, first of all, my name is Tridel Edwin. I'm from Dominica. And I just like to say thank you for having me as part of this panel discussion, right? I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years in the media, marketing, and production field in Dominica. This pandemic has not just affected myself, but as well as a lot of other entrepreneurs on the island, right? As it relates to how are we coping now, I think we've been through disasters as recently as 2017 with Hurricane Maria. I think most entrepreneurs were in the process of recovering from that hurricane. Now we have to face this pandemic. The different this time around though is on the ground the people are still more hopeful versus back in 2017 after the hurricane. It was all doom and gloom, but now with the pandemic, businesses slowed down as expected, but we are all hopeful on that, right? So that's basically the feeling on the ground in Dominica. We are just hopeful, waiting for this to pass, and there will be tremendous opportunities once there's probably a cure, or once things get better, there will be tremendous opportunities, and most people will be trying to capitalize on that.
Yes, and you are in the communications industry. Tell us a little bit about 365 and what's happening with you during this time.
Okay, well, 365, we are a media marketing and production company, right? So we do a lot of marketing work, from marketing research down to photography, graphic design, and so on, the end product of the marketing research. Thankfully, because of what is going on now, because entrepreneurs and other businesses are forced to be more innovative or creative in how they probably go about doing business, there's still a lot of business for us now, seeing that we're a marketing company. A lot of people have to reach their clients in new ways, and what better to do so through the help of a marketing company. So I can count myself as fortunate in this present situation, but not everyone is as fortunate. Some entrepreneurs are struggling, especially those in the tourism sector. Right? They have to find you cannot find ways to get people to your country. No one is traveling. Right? So I can say 365 group, we've been okay throughout this pandemic, and we will get better because more persons, as soon as government stimulus packages start to come into stream, businesses start to reopen, they will have to spend money into marketing again. So I cannot complain too much personally for my business, but I feel what most entrepreneurs feel, not just in Dominica, but throughout the region.
Absolutely. It's quite a challenge and a struggle for a lot of entrepreneurs, even as you mentioned,
Definitely.
those in the tourism industry. And this is something I would want us to kind of pick up back in the discussion, because at the start we said that it's a frightening time, but there are also opportunities. Now, you're in the communications industry. A lot of work is
Right.
taking place online. So, there
Right.
may be something good coming out of that for you. Let me hop
Right.
over now to Trudy. Trudy, you are in the food and beverage industry
Yes, I
in
am.
St. Lucia. What's your experience? What's happening with entrepreneurs in St. Lucia? What are some of the challenges?
Hi, good morning. I'm Trudy Popoleos out of St. Lucia, owner of Trudy's Exotic Cuisine. Um, the feel on the ground for entrepreneurs is some of them are doom and gloom. They don't know where to start. Some of them had just started off a business and the pandemic hit, so they're back to zero. Some of them are hopeful. Some are trying to be innovative. So it's a little of everything. They're looking to the government to try to provide the necessary environment so that they can tap on the various opportunities that are available now, that the food supply, especially for agro processors like myself, the food supply would open up and they, as local agro processors, can tap into that market and provide what the demand is for the citizens of the country. So it's a part of everybody just coming together and assisting each and every person in the entrepreneurship sector to ensure that they don't fall on their own.
Thank you so much. I'm happy you mentioned that point about government, because the government certainly would fall into, the community and the support system for entrepreneurs. And certainly when we talk about, resources and where young entrepreneurs can go for help, that's
Yeah,
something that, I think we would want to hear a little bit more from you, Anna, truly, as we go along, because people are looking for assistance, right? We're
certainly.
Caribbean people, we're resilient, we're not giving up. So we just need to find where the opportunity.
Right. So I think we lost Roberta for a bit, right? Um, my one rule for life is anything can happen, right? Right. So we spoke to Tridel and we spoke to Trudy. I think it's a good passing on to Anguilla to hear from Simona. Let's hear about you, hear about your business, but also what's going on, what's your experience now with COVID-19, and do you have any impact stories from the past that you want to bring to the table now?
Oh boy, do I have stories. Good morning, everyone. I'm Simone Khan, I'm the Managing Director of Sandiland Enterprises here in Anguilla. It is a tourism-based business. We do charter boat services, ferryboat services. We also run a restaurant on a tiny spit of sand in the middle of the ocean called Sandy Island. And we have a bunch of other little things that we do as well. When you ask about stories of overcoming, just 2 years ago in Hurricane Irma, we completely lost Sandy Island. The island was literally washed away completely. And we had to literally rebuild from scratch. But you can imagine, just 2 years after reopening, to have to deal now with COVID-19 is not very easy. But by and large, I can say that we remain optimistic about the future, and Anguillian people in general, most of those that I speak to on a day-to-day basis, are hopeful and eagerly anticipating the future, because we know that from the bottom you can only go up, right?
Sure.
Better days must come, better days will come. And we at Sandy Island Enterprises are basically taking this time when we are basically shut, there's no business. But we're taking this time to kind of build our internal capacity, our organizational capacity, taking this time to do little improvements on the restaurant, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
Well, before I pass you on to Roberta, because I'm sure she's back. I mean, and this is for anyone who can answer first. But we're talking about coping and dealing with what's happening now as part of COVID-19, right? But what I'm really trying to, I'm speaking the entire concept of community. Who's your support system right now? What does that look like? And probably we'll start with Simon because you went last time. You do the reverse order. I kind of want to hear from each of you. What's your support system like?
Well,
Not
right
just
now,
family and friends, but even other entrepreneurs, other networks. I want to hear what's your experience like.
well, here in Anguilla, we're a relatively new country, yes. When I say relatively new country, I mean in terms of our government. We broke away from St. Kitts and Nevis back in 1957. We're still considered a British overseas territory. We have a governor from the UK. And in terms of supports, our government were able to access support funds from the UK government that were, enabled them to kind of provide assistance to the people of Anguilla in the area of border protection, so forth and so on. Specifically related to entrepreneurs, unfortunately, there are no support systems in place right now for entrepreneurs, but luckily we do have a support system that was set up just for the COVID-19 pandemic situation via our Social Security Board here in Anguilla. So many of the people who were displaced, whose jobs were displaced, were able to access support services that way. And it kind of took some of the burden off of us as business owners, not having access to resources ourselves, but knowing that our staff were being taken care of.
Fantastic. So we're finding that support in this time is absolutely critical, not only within our families, but in the entrepreneurship community. Trudy, what's happening in terms of support systems? Do you find entrepreneurs need to be working together more?
Yes, for St. Lucia entrepreneurs, I find that there's still room for improvement in coming together and creating a network and a community. Stuff was starting to be put in place as COVID did impact us severely. It's starting to be put in place by government agencies. There are also independent cohorts around the island coming together to assist entrepreneurs. And it's all about tapping into it and making it nationally. So it's not a branch here and a branch everywhere. So everybody can communicate together and ensure that they're aiming for the same goal.
Okay. And Tridel, what kind of support are you seeing?
Well, most of the support we're receiving right now is from the government. They are putting plans in place for small businesses. I think this week actually, I think there was a particular fund they made available at the Dominica Aid Bank that small businesses could access. But it's pretty much just funds to take care of operating costs. It's like a bridge, so you use it as a bridge for things you could not do due to being shut down for some time. Probably cover some bills and that kind of stuff. The premise that there are other things in stream. So most entrepreneurs are just waiting to see what those things would be.
Right, thank you. Talking about operational cost, are you seeing an opportunity for entrepreneurs to work together more? Perhaps like sharing an office space, sharing, a career service. Are there opportunities along that line?
Well, there has always been these opportunities. I believe now persons will probably gravitate more towards them. Um, I think every opportunity to save money, regardless of COVID-19, is something all entrepreneurs should embrace, right? But now, because of what is going on, I think more persons are moving towards doing stuff online, not necessarily getting off the space because it's just a useless expense. But most people that I've spoken to, most people I've come into contact with, they are all trying to figure out how they can move their operations completely online. Um, in case of my business, for example, I believe, and again, I hate to bring it up over and over again, but it's something that actually happened, right? Hurricane Maria. After Hurricane Maria, our business mostly operated online, right? I shut down my office space. I have a much smaller space right now. So I would almost say like that was preparation for this pandemic right now, right? So most persons are in the process of, taking the approach of having everything online. And I think in the long run, they will see it will save them a ton of money on overhead costs.
I'm quite happy you mentioned that because in the Caribbean, we are prone to natural disasters.
Oh
We're
yeah,
entering into hurricane season, and so it's certainly something to think about. We might end up getting a double whammy, knock on wood. But
boy.
it's a very good point that you raised. And I would want Simone and Tridel Simone and Trudy to come in and just to talk about Tridel was mentioning about that being a reality for businesses. You are in the food and beverage industry. Are there opportunities to go online?
For me, when my business started, I did operate it as an online business. There are opportunities to operate it online. For the restaurant aspect of my business, it's basically on a takeaway and delivery basis. The agro processors are looking into, well, as the chair for the Agro Processors Association in St. Lucia, we're looking into the avenue of actually creating an online store where all products can be purchased online and delivered to all the citizens wherever they're located around the island. So it is a process that has to be thought throughly and planned very strategically, but there is opportunity for that to actually happen.
Thank you very much. And Simone?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, excuse my mic, I'm so sorry. There is definitely a shift in Anguilla to doing business online. At one of our restaurants, Shopee Shake Shack, we're actually now in the process of doing, utilizing an online app so that people can place orders for food and have it delivered to them. Anguilla is a very small place and most people have cars. And so delivery back in the day really wasn't a big issue before, but now with the challenges put forth by COVID-19, we're seeing now that delivery is something that's very, very important and lots of people are making that transition.
Thank you so much. I realize Nevelo in the chat has some feedback. Nevela is indicating she's in the wedding industry and there has basically been a halt to, that sector. Nevelo, could you come in here and share your experience? Go ahead. I mean, all sectors are being affected, right? All of us can say we have never seen anything like this before. But as we said before, Caribbean people were.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead, Novella.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for doing this. Being in the wedding industry, we got hit really hard like everybody else. But what I also found is that a wedding is something that's supposed to be very intimate.
Mhm.
And we lost that as Caribbean flavor. We ended up with, it's a fete, it's a show. Now it's forced us to say, what's truly meaningful in doing this? Why am I doing it? Is it for the show? So cutting back on the numbers gave us that true meaning of getting married again. Using technology now, I do consultations online. I do my training online. People find new ways to say what they really want specifically. Because you have to now, because we can't face each other anymore. It's a Zoom meeting here, it's a tech scare, and now with the numbers cut, I really think the wedding industry is going to rebuild more on meaningful relationships rather than just that party aspect of it.
Exactly. Thank you so very much for sharing that. What I hear you saying is that we really need to pause, stop, and think. Can we be doing anything differently? And the industry. So this is our businesses. And Trudy, I believe, had mentioned it earlier about innovation. This is the time for businesses to get innovative. I want to ask you, panelists, as well, what are some of the things you think entrepreneurs need during this season? And again, going back to the community and the support, because leaving this webinar, we want to be able to say to entrepreneurs who are on, these are the opportunities. This is where you can go and get help so that your business does not become a statistic and doesn't go under during COVID pandemic. What do businesses need now? Trudy, you want to take this one?
Sure. What businesses need now, I think, is to be innovative. We need to explore all our options and see what way we can reapproach. So take time to regroup, to reapproach, to strategize. And in that time, you can also take back and give back to your community. It also makes persons aware of your brand, who you are as a person, and it makes persons respect you, because I have learned that from a personal experience in giving back to not only to the less fortunate, to our frontline staff, to persons who are not even expecting, can bring them to tears. So it's an opportunity for you to just analyze yourself as a person, give back in the same time that you're regrouping, and you'll come back in a more forceful manner in your business.
Thank you so much, Trudy. Can we hear from Tridel and Simone as well?
Okay, so one of the things I believe entrepreneurs can do during this downtime is research, right? Sometimes being innovative doesn't mean the thought process comes from you, but you could look at what people do in other islands, in other countries, and try and incorporate it in your country, right? So there's a lot of time on your hands. Those who have no work, right? So YouTube and there are many other forums that you could go on and just find out what is taking place in other islands, what are entrepreneurs doing in America, in Europe, right, in the rest of the Caribbean. Just try and take the best practices and apply it to your own situation. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tridel. And Simone, based on how businesses have been affected, what are the needs? Is it that entrepreneurs need more cash to keep their businesses going? Is it that they need somebody to come in and help them to restructure? What do you think they need?
Well, definitely support is always important. I know here locally via the Department of Youth and Culture, there's a Get Set program and a number of other initiatives that are designed to support young people as they take that leap of faith into the world of entrepreneurship. For entrepreneurs who've already, taken that step and who are up and operating 4, 5, 6 years into their business life, there aren't as many support services out there for them. So I do think that this is something that governments regionally can look into. I gathered from Tridel that this is something that the Dominican government is working on. That's excellent. But locally here in Anguilla, I know that there's just that little small program at the Department of Youth and Culture. In terms of what we can do though to build our own capacity, every Tuesday and every Thursday I log on to webinars that are being put on by organizations all over the world. On Thursday, tomorrow, I'm going to be part of one put on by Forbes International. It's called Hospitality. Oh my God, I'm going to get shot for not remembering this. But anyway, I do it every Thursday. And it's not necessarily because I'm bored. I do it because I know that there's information and knowledge out there. And now that I have the time available to me, I'm actually taking advantage of it. I would encourage entrepreneurs to do the same. Take this time to really build yourself and build your capacity.
That's a very excellent point, and it certainly followed on from the research that Tridel mentioned earlier that entrepreneurs could be doing during this time, because if we're going to pivot, if we're going to rebrand, there needs to be research. It's the first we're experiencing something like this, and so it requires different strategies. Nebello had mentioned, people rethinking how things are being done. In your own businesses as an entrepreneur, are you seeing anything that you could have been doing differently? Is there something that you don't miss in your business? Because I find that with, stay-at-home orders, etc., there are some things we're realizing that, hey, we didn't really need to do this before. But are you seeing any of that coming up in your business as an entrepreneur?
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. I mean, for us, our businesses are all very, how should I say, experience oriented. And for the longest time, we focused mainly on, just the product and not necessarily, well, I wouldn't say not necessarily the service, because we have been doing both. And I think it would be a disservice to my staff to say differently. But COVID-19 has really caused us to stop and think about how we communicate and how we assure people of excellence, and how we basically communicate to people that we care about their safety and we care about their well-being. Prior to COVID-19, we took it for granted.
Absolutely.
So it's making us think deeper about service. It's making us think a little bit more creatively about how we can provide homey, hospitable service in an environment moving forward that has to be very sterile.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. Shivani wants to make a comment. After Shivani, we will hear from Surendra. Shivani? Right, so while we wait for Shivani to respond, okay, go ahead, Shivani. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. It's a question really for Dominica, Tridel, Edwin, in terms of the 365 group, incorporative, right? So the company that I'm trying to get at, it's an online communication.
I didn't hear the last part.
Could you repeat, Shivani?
Can you repeat?
I think we may be having a slight issue with Shivani there. I believe she was saying she wants to get some ideas about going online. So perhaps you could just talk a little bit about that, Tridel, until she joins us. So you had mentioned earlier that, the pandemic has given you an opportunity to go online with your business. And with forward thinking, a lot of businesses across us may need to be thinking about going online. Do you want to give any other thoughts on that?
Okay, well, first thing what we do in Dominica is we kind of assess the business, see whether they need to be, whether they need to have a website, or can they operate on social media, right? Once we figure that out, then we would work with them in gathering, let's say, if it's products they're selling, right? We'd have to come, we'll take pictures of the products, we will help them with logos and branding and that kind of stuff. But the first thing is assessing what is the needs of the business, what criteria they would fall under, and that kind of stuff. Can you all hear me? I'm getting like a feedback.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
We're hearing you.
Okay. Right. So like I was saying, we basically just assess the business. Some places need a website for themselves, right? Other places there's a large community online already. Let's say for Facebook, for Instagram, and they may not necessarily need a website where you don't have to go and build that community. But if there's a community really available for them on social media, social platforms, we would help them to set up pages and, pretty much use our network because we have a wide network, right? Combinedly over 20,000 plus followers on Instagram, Facebook, and so on, right? So we usually use our network as an additional reach, to give them additional reach in whatever products or services they sell. So that's the first step because no matter what product or service you have, you want as many people, especially on island, to know about that service. So we usually use our reach as the first stepping stone to build your own community, right?
Thank you. Uh, so there's really a lot that can be done for capacity building for entrepreneurs during this time, and reaching out to an entrepreneur like yourself who's already in the entrepreneurship community can definitely help businesses to read, because that's one of the key things that we have to be looking at during. From Surendra. Surendra is one of our mentors. Surendra?
Hi, and good morning to everyone. Surendra from Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm a mentor with the youth business Trinidad and Tobago here. So Shadran and company, I do my mentoring with. Now, one thing that as a mentor and as an entrepreneur, I find that it has become, absolutely clear that I needed to find a different way to do business, right? Not necessarily a different way of doing the same business, but a different way of doing my business in a way that would make sense during this time, and then assume that this is going to be how business is going to be done in the future. So I've had to look at ways to, one, reduce my overheads. Mind you, I did not have a lot of overheads, but I've still found it necessary to reduce the overheads because a lot of what I'm doing now is rebuilding and rebranding myself. And I'm moving from a perspective of dealing with one-on-one clients. So in addition to a mentor, I'm a facilitator and a lecturer and a trainer. And I absolutely used to love to do one-on-one, face-to-face, anything like that, but more in the personal service, So I used to love to deal with people. And whereas I do have a comfort level online, I found that wasn't the thing for me. So I always put off building an online presence. And whereas I would talk about it, I really never did anything about it. So I have learned a very hard lesson that I need to really trust the decisions that are being made for my business to go forward. And getting more and more online is the thing that I found to be most critical. And then to, as I say, to collaborate more. I mean, we talk a lot about collaboration and we teach collaboration a lot when we do our Jumpstart program, but I found myself in that area could have done a lot more. So now I'm finding it necessary to collaborate with people, and when persons reach out to me, even if it's something that I'm not familiar with, try to find ways to connect, to be part of their organization and allow them to be part of what I do. So I look at my business as no longer people competing with me and I'm competing with others, but how we are collaborating so that we can survive and then excel in these very difficult times. So those are the two things that I'm really focused on, taking my business totally online. And don't get me wrong, I still hope and pray that we can find ways to integrate both the online and the face-to-face component, observing all the the restrictions and the regulations that are in place to protect us. I'm really, really hoping that the new normal might be some degree of a hybrid system where we do both, right? So whereas I'm building totally for online, I'm still being hopeful that the system would allow for a true hybrid system. So I just wanted to throw that comment out. I know my internet is giving a little trouble, so I hope you heard me clearly.
Yeah.
Yes, we heard quite well. We thank you so much for sharing those nuggets. Thank you. As you know, at the Youth Business Trust, we love mentors. So thank you very much, Surendra, for sharing that with us. And to build on that, let me ask our panelists, how are you working currently with your mentors, if at all? And are you seeing a need to be, as Surendra mentioned, collaborating more with your mentors? They certainly would not have gone through a COVID pandemic, but they probably have gone through situations that, you know, almost cost them their businesses. And so there certainly might be valuable lessons coming from them, as Surendra just shared. So I would want to hear from Tridel, Simone, Trudy, about how you are working with your mentors, or how you can work with your mentors, just, you know, keep stability in your business during this time. Tridel, you want to go first?
Okay. Well, to respond to that question, I understand what the gentleman was saying. He said he's a mentor, right?
Yes.
That's what he said, right?
Surendra is a mentor. Yes.
Right. I'm also a mentor, right? And there's certain things I would usually tell my mentees, and I didn't practice it every single day. You understand? Certain things like responding to messages on time, and sometimes I'd let my inbox pile up, and and in a time like now, you realize, boy, I need to respond to people quickly, because everyone is trying to do some of the similar things that I'm doing, because we realize there's an open market. You understand? There's a greater increase for online services. So people popping up trying to do similar services, and I say, boy, I need to be quicker in responding to messages. And I say, but these are things I always tell my mentees, right? So it's basically there are core business practices that we all know, right? Once you're in business, once you're an entrepreneur, you know certain things, but we don't always practice it.
Sure.
Right? So right now is the time for us to be on our A game. We have to practice what we preach.
Exactly. Thank you, Simone.
Oh, he made me smile. Well, at this point in time, I found that what lots of people need is just reassurance that things will get better. Connecting with them on an emotional level and on a spiritual level. I think now more than ever, it's important for people to realize that once we have life, we have hope, and always remind them that we need to focus on the fact that things like this have happened before. All right, this is not the first pandemic. This is not the first crisis. The same way people were able to overcome things in the past, so too we will be able to overcome things now.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me that I just keep reminding people to take it easy, to not beat up on yourself too much, because lots of us feel, that we should be at a certain point in our career, in our journey, and we're not there. And so to have another setback can be very, very discouraging, but there's no need to be discouraged, because we're all in this big boat together. The whole world is going through this, and we have to remain positive, and we have to remain resolute in terms of our focus and in terms of our belief in ourselves that we are in fact able. We can overcome this. We just have to work on ourselves and make sure that we're growing in spite of the virus. As individuals, as individual managers, we can still continue to grow and thrive and prepare ourselves for the future.
Fantastic, thank you. And Trudy, mentorship, that certainly means something to the entrepreneur. Thoughts about how a person should be working with their mentors now, or how are you working with your mentor, Trudy?
For my mentor, she came on board after we had GEW Week in St. Lucia. And she has been a vital aspect in ensuring that my business stays afloat even in this pandemic. And for other persons, I have been mentoring as well. Some of the advice that I give them, I don't always follow it, just as Tridel said. But it's now a time where you regroup and you look at it and you say, okay, I've been giving that advice and it's now time for me to follow it. But it's also a time for me to give hope to the other persons that I depend on so my business can stay afloat. So that's why I started giving back and ensuring that these persons can actually have a hot meal, or these persons can actually able to provide for the kids because they have lost their jobs. I can feel it, so can they.
Absolutely. People, this is because they do provide that community for persons. Simone had mentioned, just encouraging persons during this time. We're not alone.
That's true.
And this is where the entire collaboration and community come in together. What you don't know about how to, rebrand or re-strategize your business, Trudy might know. Tridel might know. So the youth business trust across the Caribbean. In Jamaica, there's a saying, nobody can stop we. I don't know if you all understood that, but it's really saying we will not be stopped. Nobody can stop we. We will not be stopped. We have support systems. We have the youth business trust. The mentors are there. Entrepreneurs are willing to talk and willing to share. And so it's very critical that we know that we're not alone in all of this. I want to get your thoughts on once the work from home orders are being lifting, quarantines are being. How do you see this affecting your business, and what are some of the strategies you think you can put in place? All this affect you in the next 3 to 4 months? I would want to hear from all the panelists if possible. Trudy, you want to take this one?
I didn't hear the first part of your question.
Yeah.
Sure. What do you think business is, what do you think it's gonna look like in another with all this physical distancing? Are there different measures that you will need to be putting in?
But I think you're breaking up a bit. So,
Yeah.
So I think I got a gist of what you're asking. So what we're looking at going forward, even well, we can't really say post COVID-19 until there's really a vaccine, right? So going through COVID-19, there are going to be a lot of restrictions, right? There are things that we're calling the next new norm, right? The low touch economy, even the no touch economy, and different forms of businesses are going to change, right? So we really want to hear from you, young entrepreneurs who are going through it. Have you thought about it, and have you put into your thought process, what's the next step for my business? How am I going to change that? And how am I even going to change me as a business owner, right? Because now you're going to have to manage probably even virtual teams, less connectivity. You're no longer having boardroom meetings, right? You're having meetings via Zoom, right? So how are you thinking about changing your business, even the business model right now? And how have you seen the changes in you as a business leader? That's 2 questions. And I think we can probably start with Tridel, and we then go to Trudy, and then Simone, you can jump in from there.
The no touch economy. I like I like that. I like that. Well, most entrepreneurs, I guess they have to adapt. Still, when like shortly after they released the strict measures on the curfew, we were so happy to be out. I'll see like, hey, what's up? And I reach out and they watch me like, like, that no touch economy, as you put it. It's something that will take some time getting used to, especially when you were in a business where it's very relatable. Like if I'm taking pictures of you, you want to come and look at the pictures, right? And we're this close to each other. There's no 6 foot distance, 6 foot social distancing. So it will take some time getting used to. Um, but in terms of moving forward, I'm really hoping they find a vaccine because it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard to not be out and socializing with your peers, with clients. In my particular field, as much as there's a lot of stuff online, it is still a business where the human interaction is very, very important. So deep down, I'm praying this is not the norm that continues for the rest of our life, But it's something that we all get used to. And like everything else, with time, if this does continue, if it remains the same, we'll all get used to it. We'll all get used to it. But for now, I'm just hoping that's not the case.
We hear you loud and clear on that one. We need a vaccine. We hear you loud and clear. Thank you, Tridel. Trudy, you want to go?
Sure. I think in going forward with our businesses, we just incorporate the various protocols that are established and try to adhere to it as much as possible. For us in the food and beverage industry, it is difficult. We try to still keep an interactive process with all our clients, but it has to be on a professional standpoint and adhering to all protocols. It may not be something that we'd like, but it's something that we have to follow in order for us to keep each other safe and healthy. It's something that we there's a saying that if you do something for 21 days straight, it becomes a habit. So I guess if we try to do it for the 21 days, well, it might become a habit that we get used to. Who knows?
Exactly.
I think we're living the quarantine habit right now.
And just to build on that, Shivani made a comment which is very critical. She mentions social learning, which is exactly what is taking place now. So with the new norm, what things are going to look like, we've been saying it, online is the future. So social learning is something that Shivani is also recommending. Simone, let's hear from you.
Well, for me, I think it's just a matter of us going with the flow. I mean, hygiene isn't anything new to us as Caribbean people. The
Exactly.
whole concept of washing our hands is nothing new to us as Caribbean people. I mean, the gravity of it all is that people are dying from this virus, but there's no cure for it right now, and the only way we can prevent ourselves from getting it is from washing our hands the way our grandparents taught us how to wash our hands. And so, I mean, because of my own personal background, I'm very, very laissez-faire when it comes to the whole coronavirus pandemic, because I do believe that God has given us dominion over all things, viruses included, and that we know what we have to do in order to protect ourselves, and we need to just do that. I don't think we need to concern ourselves too much about what's going to happen 3, 4, 5 years from now. I think we need to just live now and know that hygiene is one of the things that we need to be focusing on. And that's easy. Like, forgive me, but I'm not concerned in the least bit.
Fantastic. That's the kind of resilience I know us Caribbean people to have. We're not giving up. Oh, no way. Shivani is also giving some suggestions about things we can do at home. Innovative ideas, craft boxes, all these other DIY stuff that we can be thinking about during this time. So we're just about at the end of our webinar, but I would want to hear from our young entrepreneurs. What is that one key thing that you would want entrepreneurs who are listening to take away from this discussion? What is that one key thing that you want to say to people to help them know that they're not alone and their business can survive during the season? We've been talking about collaborating and innovating. Those are two key things coming from me. Collaborate and innovate. We can get through this. Let me take Simone.
This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Know that you are able. Know that, pardon me? Yes, I was saying, know that you're able. Know that you have the capacity within you to overcome this whole situation, and just be confident knowing that this too shall pass. And that's basically it.
Absolutely. And you say that, Simone, because you've had experiences before where you've had to rebrand.
I've had to rebuild, rebrand, and this is nothing new for me, because I probably didn't say enough about the nature of our business, but we run a restaurant on a bit of sand in the middle of the sea. Every hurricane season, I have to rebuild. I'm the crazy woman who builds a restaurant on a piece of sand in the middle of the sea. Okay, so that should tell you a little bit about the way I think. I'm a nutcase, but I'm a nutcase based on the fact that I know that God provides for me and for every, it's nothing new. It's nothing new with that we're going through. And once you got life, you got hope. Seriously,
Fantastic.
once you have life, you have hope. And I know it may seem cliche for a lot of people, but these are sayings that have been around since our great-grandparents' time. It's by time we start to trust them, I think we lost Roberto again.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case we lost us. So, I mean, Trudy, you want to go next in terms of your final thoughts and comments?
I would say to any entrepreneur out there, you need to be determined, stay focused, regroup, but don't forget to give back. When you continuously to give back to those persons that you depend on for your business to actually move forward, then they actually respect you as an entrepreneur. So give back. Don't forget anybody. We all are in this struggle together. Reach out to your entrepreneurs in the entrepreneurship community, and we all can get through this together. Stay determined.
Right.
And try that.
Well, I agree with everything Simone and Trudy said. But I will just go back to research, right? You're not in this alone. Everyone else in the world is going through that exact same situation. And because there's nothing new under the sun, trust me, if you just do some research, you will find something that might work for you. Right? There's a lot of time on your hands. Most entrepreneurs have a lot of time right now. You just take your time and just look at some videos, read something. Someone is going through what you're going through. I know for sure. Simone said she's a nutcase. I understand. I understand what she's saying, because let's say, right, for Dominica, after Hurricane Maria, right, after that devastation, most entrepreneurs are like, boy, let's move to Barbados. Let's go to Trinidad. You understand? In this present situation, where you going to say you're gonna move to? Right? I cannot
Exactly.
move. Let me go to Lucia. let me go to America. America have more pros than us right now. You understand? So we're all in this together, and if we just do some research, we do some, some looking around, we can find solutions that might work for various businesses.
Right. So, I mean, Simone, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. A key word is patience.
Sure.
Keyword is patience. Rome wasn't built in a day. Life doesn't go in straight lines. Things go wrong. But it's your ability to be able to dust yourself off and get back up that's made the difference. And truly, I really like the fact that you said, to take care of those people who take care of you.
Yeah.
Make sure that you take care of your staff, those staff who are loyal and who've been with you from the very beginning. Really find the time to tell them thank you, especially during this time. Check up on people and just be patient. Just be patient.
Right. And Roberta, I see your back, so I guess we can get your final thoughts before we have to close off.
Yes, so I mean, to entrepreneurs out there, collaborate and innovate. In the collaboration is where you find your community, connect with online resources, keep connected to the Youth Business Trust. No man is an island, not even Simone, who has a restaurant out there on a sandy island. No man is an island, no man stands alone. We can get through this and innovate, pivot, re-strategize so we can come out of this stronger than we came in.
Great. So, I mean, I want to thank everybody for joining us and being part of the community discussion. Now, we're just kind of giving you the template of what can happen if you just bring together a couple of your entrepreneurship friends and you all let's have a discussion about where could we pivot, where can we go, right? Just to kind of pull back some of the nuggets. I like to take some nuggets at the end of this. I know it's Simone. Once you have life, you got to go. Simple as possible. Right? So that's my biggest takeaway in terms of that last bit there. Truly give back and we're in it together. I mean, that's the whole thing we spoke about community, right? It's not just what you can get out of the community, how could you give back to the community as well? So start thinking of a two-way relationship with everybody that you meet and try it out, research, and with thinking about research can happen anyway. Get an online webinar, right? Think about how could this webinar apply to me? Do some desk research. Somebody's going through something that's similar to what you're going through now. Do some research. It's all, I think Shivani said, develop some do-it-yourself kits. Now is the perfect opportunity to start learning how to do some stuff yourself, right? Because you may not have access to get out there. And then Roberta ended it off with collaboration is the way you find your community, right? So thinking about, I think, if I go back to what Surinja would have indicated in the previous comments, it's not about competition, about being competitive. How could we work together? It may not be a complete merger of our business, but how could we form that working relationship so that both businesses could survive this whole thing? And I always tell persons that this whole COVID-19 has affected the entire community, right? Not just the entrepreneurs, not just the mentors, but even the support organizations. We kind of have to think about how we going to do this now, right? Our main training was face-to-face. What are we going to do, right? So how this whole internet thing becoming Zoom, I think we had to do Zoom crash courses, right? Because we were planning for a training to happen in April, and then March happened, and then Zoom, right? So that crash course in Zoom had to happen. So we developed a kind of a strategy that we use at YBTT. It's what we call the 5 R's, and you're going to see, we're going to be posting a couple of things later on. So the first R is resolve, right? Think about what challenges does COVID-19 bring to you right now? How could you find solutions? How could you navigate and pivot through all those challenges that it's bringing? The second R, and we hear it a lot, resilience, right? And we're thinking about resilience as from a business standpoint, resilience from a cash flow management standpoint, and then resilience from an individual standpoint. And that's all about mental resilience. Are you preparing your mind for this entire challenge? The other one is rebuild, right? For those who haven't been part of the opening of the restriction and getting forward, right? And I know Simone is the expert rebuilder, right? Think about it now. How are you going to rebuild to return to where you were pre-COVID-19? And in case you can't rebuild, we have another R called reimagine, right? So start to reimagine what is your business right now. You may have to close your current business. It may not be relevant right now, but could you reimagine things that you like? Think of your resources that you have currently, and could you reimagine an entirely new business that can fit? Because entrepreneurship is really about finding solutions to problems. COVID-19 brought together a couple of problems that we need solutions for, right? So where are those open and those opportunities lying there? So start thinking about rebuilding, reconnecting, well, reimagining your business from there. And the final R it's really about reconnect, right? How could you bring your community together? Reconnect with your suppliers, reconnect with your customers, have conversations, right? The conversations may be different. You may not be able to do a cup of coffee face to face anymore, but have a cup of coffee online, right? There's nothing stopping us from reconnecting there. So that's all 5R: resolve, resilience, rebuild, reimagine, and reconnect. And with that, I really want to thank you all for joining us. This has been our 9th webinar. I'm trying to count back. 9th webinar, 9th Wednesday in a row, right? We've been having webinars, and we've been privileged to have a lot of great speakers. And I think we're going to take we're going to do a little rebuild and reimagine ourselves. So we're going to take a short hiatus, a little break, and kind of redesign what this webinar take place and looks like. So we really wanted to end it with speaking to entrepreneurs, because you heard a lot from support organizations. You heard from different facilitators doing business continuity plans. We really wanted to hear from the entrepreneurs and speak to them. So I really want to thank you, the panelists, Roberta, Tridel, Simone, Trudy, for coming out, the persons who gave their comments, and I'm seeing a lot of positive comments coming out of the chats as well. I know persons are probably commenting on our Facebook Live. I just don't have it open right now. So thank you again. And this has been Youth Business Caribbean's webinar series. Thank you and stay tuned.